Here we go, episode 125 of the Hardline Sports Talk. I'm Michael Merrill. That is John Michael Masiri. We are back in person, although I think the last episode was in person. But either way, we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. JM's over his deathly flu.
Yeah.
And we're here to talk a lot. Everything. Baseball, football, basketball, everything's in swing. And we really, JM said it about 20 minutes ago. We did, get lucky, I think, with our week off last week because there was nothing to talk about.
We did. There was really not a lot to talk about. Football, obviously, has been over for a couple weeks now. Baseball, we were just talking a little pitchers and catchers, and we were coming off of that awful NBA All-Star weekend. So, yeah, there wasn't really much to discuss. It wouldn't have been a very fun episode. It would have been a lot of gloomy NBA news.
Yeah, it would have been a lot of us trying to create rumors and talk about different things and just spice things up when there was nothing to be spiced. So we're here now. Before we start, we're going to start with baseball today and Cody Bellinger, who finally signed. Make sure you're liking and subscribing on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get them. And follow us on social media. Yep. Keep up the support. And we put something out on social media, which we're going to do today with people sending us videos, people sending us questions. So we definitely want the fan engagement on our episodes. And we're going to have, we'll try and have you on, so send those our way. We'll put more of that on social media. JM, how are you?
I'm doing good. As you mentioned, did have the flu.
Yeah.
Not asking for a Purple Heart or anything. It was tough, but we got through it. And doing good, man. I'm doing good. Shout out Modern Medicine helping me out.
Definitely.
Tamiflu does wonders.
There we go. Well, you know what? You know who's not doing Cody Bellinger wonders?
Who's that, Mike?
That's Scott Boras.
Yeah.
Because Scott Boras has a lot of empty promises to, I think, a lot of his clients. And I think Cody Bellinger learned that the hard way. He signs a 3-year, $80 million contract. $30 million for the first 2 years and $20 in that last, but he has opt-outs throughout. So it's probably a 1-year deal, depending on what he does.
It's a glorified 1-year deal. Yeah.
JM, it's just you have that kind of season, and we kind of spoke about this with Blake Snell, that you have such a good season the year prior. How are you settling for, like you mentioned, a glorified 1-year contract? These owners, man, they just don't want to spend, but are they wrong?
I mean, they're not wrong in a sense where Bellinger's had a weird career path. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. The guy's been up and down. He's been at the top of the game as the MVP, and he's had OPSs that are as low as in the 500s before. I mean, he has literally hit rock bottom. So he comes off the great year last year, but I think what hurt Cody Bellinger, to be honest with you, you couldn't do much more than what he did. But if Cody Bellinger had more of a power season like he had all those in his MVP year and his Rookie of the Year, that would have shown teams to say, like, okay, this is Cody Bellinger is back. Since it was a good season, but a bit of a different version of Cody Bellinger where you saw more contact, right? Less fly ball hitter, a little bit more hitting it on the ground, line drive. Some teams, that scares them because, they don't see a consistency in years prior. It's a brand new Cody Bellinger, so I think that ended up hurting him.
He's had, and we spoke about this and we'll speak about this with Blake Snell. I mean, Jamie, he's been inconsistent his entire career. I mean, 17, obviously, he's the Rookie of the Year. He burst onto the scene. Then his second year, he was okay. I mean, good. Played every single game, only hit 25 home runs.
Yeah.
Then he wins MVP. And then the pandemic and COVID, he was okay in that season. And then we know what happened the next two seasons. But last year, he was really freaking good. But these owners, they're a little, worried about giving him a big-time contract. He settles for this. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Well, listen, it's a lot of money. The guy's not exactly poor. But if there's one thing that we know about baseball, right, it's that the owners have more power in this sport than they have in any other sport. The commissioner, Bud Selig, who was the commissioner before Bud Selig? It just kind of put you on the spot. From like 89 to 92, there was another commissioner. I don't remember the guy's name, but anyways.
I'll look it up.
That commissioner was watching a documentary, and he said that the owners literally told him while he was trying to do some flex his commissioner powers, said, your job is to make us money, and that is it. And that is true in baseball. Rob Manfred, as much as we love to make him the center of scandals and say, what a bad commissioner and we need to get this guy out, it turns out Rob Manfred doesn't have as much power as we think because the league is run by all 30 owners. So when these owners all get collectively on the same page about a free agent or about whatever it is, that holds a lot of power. And a guy like Cody Bellinger, I think, had a lot of owners against him that didn't want to give him the money.
You know, I didn't know when I was gonna save this rant for, but I'm gonna give this rant right now, okay? I have a serious, and you know what? We're in the same camp here, okay?
Yeah.
With this rant that I'm about to go on, and I haven't said anything to you about this off air. The Steve Cohen tax is so mind-numbingly stupid. It actually gives me anger. Okay? Because we're talking about owners that will never even think about spending the kind of money that, Cohen was and, the Yankees are this season and the Dodgers and, even the Phillies at times, whoever's spending a ton of money. These cheap-ass owners who had to have the Steve Cohen tax in there so they could stop big-time market teams from spending money or spending too much money when these owners aren't even going after, not even talking to some of these high market players, the players at the top of the market. They're not even discussing contracts with them. But, if the Yankees sign Blake Snell, it's $80 million for, the 1-year contract or whatever. Oh, can't have that. Yeah. But are the A's, are the Pirates going after Blake Snell? No, so you're just hurting the game. They're just hurting the game with this freaking tax, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The cheapness of the owners in baseball. I mean, we remember the Mariners owner celebrating charging expensive parking and being such a cheap ass and, squeezing every last dollar that he could get. I mean, the Pittsburgh Pirates, I remember when they signed Chapman, we were joking. We were like, what the hell is that?
They had a press conference.
Yeah, they had a press conference because they gave the guy like $12 million. And that's like, what the hell are the Pirates doing with $12 million? Brian Reynolds signed an extension with them for like $105 million. It's the largest contract that team's ever given out in their entire history. I give the Kansas City Royals credit for giving Bobby Witt that $200 million plus extension because that's actually showing like, wow, look at that. A small market team with a generational homegrown player who is years away from hitting the free agent market, and they give him a big boy contract. That's a great message to send to the rest of the organization.
And they spend some money.
And that's a message, honestly, to send to the rest of the MLB to say, hey, listen, small market teams, we know you're using this stupid BS excuse that, oh, we don't play in a big market. We can't afford these players. Yes, you can afford these players. I don't care what type of ownership group you have. Between the revenue sharing and the TV deals and everything, you can afford to, with a team that has a $40 million payroll, if you wanted to go sign a top-tier free agent and give them $30 million a year, you could afford it. There is no team in the MLB right now that couldn't afford a $70 million payroll. It's ridiculous.
Listen, if you cannot afford, like you just mentioned, the bare minimum of spending money or even just trying to compete and win, because, I mean, some of these teams, they're not even trying to win. I mean, they're actively trying to lose. Mm-hmm. If you cannot field a team that's competitive enough to win because you are, selling or bottoming out, whatever you're doing, sell the team, please. Yeah. I mean, just sell the team. There are so many billionaires in this world that will take this major league team and make it fun, whether they're a fan of the team or not. It's something that they will do as a hobby. Yep. So it's a pain in the ass. But you know what, JM? I also see the other side of it, okay? And it's kind of it's a big picture problem with baseball. Yeah. The Arizona Diamondbacks went to the World Series. Mm-hmm. They spending too much money. Even just go back to last season, they bottomed out. Yeah. Had a ton of high prospects. Mm-hmm. They bottomed out. That's the comparison to some of these owners, though. They're like, well, we don't have to spend a ton of money. Right. And that's why I think upsets lately have been bad for baseball.
But that's what some of these organizations, like the Arizona Diamondbacks, have done a good job recently of developing these players and having a good farm system. The Oakland Athletics are a team that, I mean, who have they brought up in recent years that has turned out to be great players? Now, you can go back to the Matt Chapmans and the Matt Olsons and those guys, but recently, I mean, who do they have in their farm system that they've brought up and that have turned into these great players? Who a Brent Rooker? He didn't even spend the majority of his minor league career in their organization anyway. So it's yes, sure, there's many different avenues you can win, right? We see it we talk about the Phillies, we talk about the Rangers, like, wow, look what they've done. They've spent a lot of money, but the Rangers also have a lot of homegrown guys, and the Rangers have made some smart trades, right? There's no exact formula.
The Phillies are the better example.
Yes, the Phillies are the Phillies are the outlier. That's not a smart. We agree that's not a smart way to build a baseball.
No, exactly, because they've done it the wrong way.
Right,
they haven't developed guys. They've bought their team.
I honestly think the best way to do it is like a Texas Rangers model where you have some homegrown talent. You also have gone out and got some of the premier free agents in the league. You've made some decent
that's
trades.
What these teams want to do.
Every different avenue. It's not just, let's have a $30-40 million payroll as cheap as we can do and try to squeeze every little ounce of talent we have and play Moneyball here. I mean, the movie's great. To do it in real life over and over again, it's not right, especially with the revenue sharing.
But the teams, and like go back, and I don't know how many times we've referenced this on this show, but go back to the Yankees in the 90s. You know, they had their homegrown talent, and then they went and spent big on free agents to go around their talent they developed.
Right.
That's what the Braves have done for the most part through trades.
Right.
I think the Dodgers have done this, you know, whether they've developed their own guys or used their own prospects and then go trade for stars and then sign stars around them.
Listen, it's a pretty simple formula. Just look at the teams that over the course of history, especially let's take the last 25 years, the teams who have competed the least frequently are going to be those small market teams that don't spend a lot of money. And the majority of the teams that are competing year in and year out are those big market teams like the Boston Red Sox, like the New York Yankees, like the Los Angeles Dodgers that have all these teams have the money, but the teams that where most of the money is coming from, those are the teams spending it. But like we said, revenue sharing. If you go on Fanatics right now and order, it's not cheap, by the way, and these jerseys suck. That's a whole different topic that we can talk about. These Fanatics jerseys look awful. I mean, they're terrible. They're going to have to put a sensor over the guys' crotches when they're on the field. It's ridiculous.
They're having a shortage. They don't have enough.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, of course not. But you go buy a, I don't know, a Francisco Lindor jersey, right?
There we go.
The New York Mets are not getting 100% of that money.
Right.
All the jersey revenue gets split amongst 30 teams. So the Yankees can sell 3 million Aaron Judge jerseys this year, and the A's can sell 5,000 Brent Rooker jerseys, and the money's going to get split. The money's going to get split evenly.
I need a count of exactly how many jerseys the A's sell or whatever, all of their players. I need to see that. Yeah. That is something that may not be the nicest thing to do, but like meme worthy.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Let's see the Bucks.
Let's see. You know, the most bought jersey in this sport. No, the entertainment is whose jersey was actually bought, but bought the least.
Right.
You can't have a bunch of zeros. Like, I want, the Jake Dykman jersey, Diekman, like the 50 people that buy that at Citi Field.
Shintaro Fujinami jersey or whatever his name is.
No, do not joke about that. There's a chance we might have to get that jersey. No, DJ Stewart will be the purchase this year, but that would be entertainment. That's entertainment. I like that. I don't care how many people bought Ohtani jerseys or Soto jerseys. I know it's going to be high. I know it's going to be
like me, the guy who's got a Randall Grichuk jersey sitting in his closet right now.
That's what I want to know.
That's what I want.
We gotta talk to somebody about that.
Show me MLB highest selling jerseys range 226 to 245. I would love to see that list.
Exactly. Come on, this is entertainment, but I don't even know where we were.
Honestly,
all the money gets shared and pooled. Yeah, it's BS.
You know what I want to just talk about? Because, we've made it known, okay, why are these owners not paying up? So, obviously, Blake Snell's out there. The rumors are with the Yankees and the Angels, they make sense. I don't know if there's going to be a dark horse team that swoops in here, but...
Can I say this? I don't think Blake Snell's a good example.
Matt Chapman, I think, is a great example.
I do think there are serious flaws that I think any smart and contending organization would see with Blake Snell and then refuse to give him a long-term contract.
Okay. What about Matt Chapman, a guy who's been pretty consistent as a solid bat in his MLB career? He's been an above-average offensive third baseman, and he's been, besides Nolan Arenado, the best defensive third baseman in the MLB over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read about him, like, he's got a little bit of a hip issue. I'm pretty sure that's the issue he's dealt with the past few years. And, I mean, the bat has steadily declined since his days in Oakland. So, listen, I don't think Chapman's a bad player. I know how great he is defensively, but He's a 5-hitter, right? 6-hitter.
You know who makes just a lot of sense to me with him? I mean, you have teams out there like, obviously, the Blue Jays could bring him back. The Blue Jays' third baseman right now is supposed to be IKF.
Well, that's
seriously?
That's huge.
And you got look at that lineup. It's already fat enough. Maybe you want to, IKF's not fat, but maybe you want to add a little athleticism here with Matt Chapman.
It makes sense. I think
it looks like a Burger King catalog.
Here we go.
Think about it.
I know it's bad. I know
Alejandro
it's bad.
Kirk,
yes.
Vogelback, Alek Manoah,
Vlad. See what sucks is though we're throwing Kirk and Vlad in here they're good professional hitters. Okay, Vlad's a star.
Yes,
and we're throwing him in here with the Vogelbacks of the world and Manoah who can't pitch to save his life now. I mean, he's done. Yeah. I mean, his career is over.
Yeah.
I mean, Alek Manoah's career is over.
Yeah, it basically
it's
is.
Done.
Yeah.
And I know you love it. I know you love it. And I would too if I was in your shoes.
Right.
But he's done. I mean,
you sure they don't want to like recruit like Big Papi to come out of retirement or
who else do they have? They signed Eduardo Escobar. That's big. That's huge.
Big club. Funny guy in the clubhouse.
He's a great clubhouse guy. I'd actually just bring him back.
Thank God. See, do you see the way MLB free agency works? Oh, Matt Chapman, you're a former Gold Glove, Platinum Glove, whatever the hell you are. You're a pretty good hitter, athletic guy. No, we don't want to give you a contract. Eduardo Escobar, you're funny, bro. Sign the dotted line, please.
Yeah. We need you. The dollars are obviously different, but it's hysterical.
But back to Chapman. The team that makes a lot of sense to me is all right, go.
The Giants.
No.
Oh, I think the Blue Jays make the most sense.
Okay.
But we said that already.
Yeah.
All right, who is it?
Chicago, the Cubs. I think the
Cubs
make a ton of sense to me. You automatically have the best defensive infield in baseball. I don't care who's playing first base and if you want to throw catcher in there as counting as defensive. But of having Matt Chapman, Dansby Swanson, and Nico Horner, that is elite. Like elite. You don't have to worry about your infield defense there. They already do. I mean, that's a great double. That's the best double play duo in the MLB right now with Chapman, Swanson, and Horner. But he makes sense to me to go to Chicago. And they're a team that they got criticized a lot last offseason for not spending enough money. Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me this offseason to do it. And they were very quiet in the beginning of the offseason.
They did nothing. I mean, not nothing, but I mean, they signed Amanja.
I correct myself. This offseason, they've been criticized a lot for not spending. Last offseason, they got Bellinger, they got Tyone, they spent the money. Right. But this offseason, besides Amana, that's really it. And they're coming off a season where they had a 92% chance to make the playoffs on September 1st, and they had a collapse in September.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. They came crashing down.
Forgot about this.
Yep.
But
they had the last two series against the Braves and the Dodgers, and they just got steamrolled. And that was
so. Let me ask you this: right now, do you think they're the favorite in the Central today?
I still like St. Louis. I know, Milwaukee lost Corbin Burns. I'm not loving. For some reason, going into each season the past couple of years, I just haven't been big on the Brewers. I know some people like to get big on it. I'm not a big Brewers guy.
No, I'm not. Not this year.
I've seen a lot of people starting to pick the Reds. The Reds to me are giving me like Blue Jays vibes from a couple years ago where everybody just wants to pick them because they're the hot, exciting young team. I don't think they're ready to take this division yet. It's not a good division, but still.
These Central divisions need to be examined.
Awful.
They need to be examined.
Awful. You could honestly pick, besides the White Sox and the Pirates, you can pick any team to win each division, and I'm not going to give you like a ton of crap.
MLB Network did they posted like a bunch of rotations. They picked a division and they picked the AL Central. Yeah. And who's got the best rotation? And they put the 5 or 6 guys that are gonna have a chance to start for these teams in the AL Central. And I swear to God, I read the list and started laughing hysterically. And listen, my team's rotation isn't anything special, okay?
Right.
And we'll get to that, as we get closer to baseball actually starting.
Right.
But I laughed. I actually laughed out loud.
Which one's worse? Which division is worse, talent-wise?
I think it's probably the AL Central, but I don't know because I'm closer to. I know more about the NL Central than I do the AL Central, and I
think the bottom half.
You know the AL better.
The Royals, I think the bottom two in the AL Central are worse than the bottom two in the NL Central.
Well, I don't think the Royals are going to be that bad.
I don't either. And I don't think the Tigers are going to be that bad.
They're not.
But one of these teams is going to probably, like, one of the I think the White Sox are going to suck. But
they lose 100 games.
One of the Royals, White Sox, Tigers, or Twins are going to have, like, a season collapse, like, probably lose, like, 90 games.
I think it's probably Cleveland then. Because I don't mind the Twins, they've lost a couple of guys they haven't spent. I would still say they're going to win the division by default. They have the best pitcher in the division.
Cleveland's pitching depth is... What are we doing right now? We're like spiraling, right? We're talking
about the
freaking Guardians.
We're talking about the AL Central.
I feel like we're doing our MLB preview show right now. But
you know what, JM? Any of these teams could use Blake Snell, and guess what?
Yeah,
they're not going to sign him. They're not going to sign Blake Snell.
No, they're not.
That's the problem with the owners, and that's been really the theme thus far. Is
the
where
only
we're
thing
at.
that one of those teams will do is maybe sign a Matt Chapman or a somebody that wants a 1-year deal, so they can flip him at the deadline and get their prospects and be cheap as ever.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah,
not a bad idea. No, I think Chapman goes back to, you're 100% right. The other fit I mentioned, I guess, the Giants. Those are the three teams that, like, if you told me he went anywhere else than the Blue Jays, Giants, or Cubs, I'd be like, no.
Right.
How about Monty? I read an article today in the New York Post about, it was Joel Sherman, and he was trying to give reasons as to why the Mets should sign Jordan Montgomery. And I wasn't there. I was like, no, I understand the Mets plan. I understand not wanting to spend money. I would give Jordan Montgomery more years than I would Blake Snell in a heartbeat. I trust Montgomery for 4 to 5 years more so than I trust Blake Snell.
To me, does not make any sense.
How?
Because, like, I feel like I should be asking you how, but why would you give him more years when Snell has been he has better overall stuff that I feel like could last you longer in your career? He's got a better track record. Montgomery's coming off of a career year where he threw a lot of innings, right? He's never thrown that many innings before. He had injury history earlier in his career with the Yankees. Like, he's never been like a super stretched out pitcher to throw that many innings on that arm last year. I'm not sure why you're saying that.
Well, the one thing about Snell is, and I just want to get the number correct. I'm pretty sure I didn't look yet. It's 128 innings.
What?
Ready? Yes. He hasn't pitched more than 128 innings in any year in which he hasn't won the Cy Young Award.
Oh, okay.
And he's pitched 180 in both of those years.
Right.
So Snell has a major durability problem, whether it's injuries or whether it's walking too many guys or just being bad. I mean, 4.29 after the first Cy Young. He had a 4.2 ERA in 2021. I mean, this guy just has not been consistent. He's had some bad seasons.
But what are you suggesting you would give a Jordan Montgomery then?
So, again, and I think I should preface this. I wouldn't give Jordan Montgomery more annually than I would Snell.
Right.
Like, I'm not giving him if you told me, all right, somebody gave Blake Snell 5 years, 150. Like, I'm not giving Montgomery 5 years, 150.
So what are you,
but
like,
I would
22,
give him
25?
Yeah, I'd give him 5 years, like one, whatever.
Would you give him 5 years, $125 million?
I would go 5 years, 120 with him.
Okay.
I go 5. That would be my offer to him.
Okay.
And I'm a little uncomfortable going to 5.
Right.
But I'd say 5 years, 120 is what I would offer.
Okay.
And I think that's a fair
deal.
deal.
A little under $25 million per year. That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's what I would do with him.
Right.
188 innings last year. In 2022, would he throw 178? Yeah, I mean, he had a little bit of a durability issue with the Yankees after his rookie season. Right. I like him. I went back and I looked at
the Mets. To me, don't make any sense though. With their timeline and what they're trying to do right now with this whole retool year and everything, I don't see Jordan Montgomery lining up with what they're trying to do.
And I understand that point, but go look at the pitchers they have under contract going into next season.
I think the Mets should be. I think when the Mets made all those trades last year, I think they kind of messed up by not getting a high level pitching prospect. And they've had that issue where they haven't brought up a good pitcher in a little bit.
No, they haven't. And I think the counter to that is when you're trying to get best available for what they're offering, right? And like whatever you're giving up, you're trying to get your best available.
It's not Build-A-Bear. You're not just going to pick and choose exactly what you want.
Well, that and the organizations that they're dealing with might not have had big time pitching prospects.
Right. But also, how about just the organization in general not being able to bring up a pitcher?
No, it's been bad.
The closest one I can remember that they've brought up was Peterson, and he didn't turn into anything.
It's been a serious.
And he's a first round pick for them.
It's a serious problem they've had. They have like 4 or 5 guys right now that are kind of that are coming up.
Right.
And I just read an article where the Mets are high on a couple of guys, and the rest of the league, their scouts look at them and they're like, these guys are back end guys, if that.
Yeah.
So they have not done a good job the past few years with their pitching prospects whatsoever. So that's another reason why I think they have to try and sign Montgomery so they have people to start.
Right.
Whoa, almost lost
the computer. Nice.
Good save, Michael. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I think not having guys under contract for next season, you have Montgomery. He's a high-end 3 because I think they're going to sign an ace next year in free agency.
I think just stay put. It's not like Jordan Montgomery is not a guy where I feel like you're gonna look back and be like, oh man, we really should have signed Jordan Montgomery. Do I think his floor is a high end 2? I mean, his ceiling is a high end 2 starter. Yeah, I don't really see him becoming a Cy Young candidate.
I don't think you don't need him to be though.
But why make that long financial commitment right now when you're in a year where you're not really trying to compete for a World Series? It's a year where you're looking at it and say, hey, if we end up getting in a wild card, that's a successful season, right? So why make the move for Jordan Montgomery?
I don't think it's a this season move. I think I view it as when you're trying to compete in 25 and 26 and 27, you have a number 3, possibly number 4 starter as he goes.
No, you're getting his best years right now, right? The Jordan Montgomery, based on history of the human body, is most likely in the prime of his career right now.
Okay,
so why would you give him a long-term deal in a year where his best years you're not expecting to be competing, and then by the time that you hopefully are competing, it's a guy that doesn't have a track record of being consistent year in and year out. We haven't seen him year after year throw this many innings. He's coming off, like I said, a year where he threw a ton of innings. They used him in the postseason, out of the bullpen, in the rotation, on short rest, everything. I don't think it's a smart idea to sign the guy to a long-term deal. I just don't. With the outlook of your team.
So the reasoning for this season is, like you mentioned, they hope, okay, maybe we find ourselves in a wild card game this season, right? A wild card series this year. He would improve your chances of doing that for this season. But I'm not signing him. That's a plus for this season, but I'm not signing him for that. I'm signing him so I have a guy that I trust in this rotation for the next few years. And when you look at how the pitching market has gone, by the time he's your 4 starter and he's making $4 or $23 million a year, whatever contract I had mentioned just now, that's probably what the base is going to be for a starting.
It's not. Listen, it's on an uptick. Salaries year after year, they get higher and higher.
15.
We're talking a couple years from now. We're not talking 20 years. I mean, $23 million for a 4 starter. What are you building, a freaking super team?
Some 4 starters are making $15, $16 million a year.
That's a bit of a stretch. That's a little bit.
Some of them are making that much money a year.
Those are overpaid 4 starters. You're not going out on the market right now. The Yankees gave Marcus Stroman under $25 million a year, and he's a high-end 3 starter. They view him as.
Well, that's a problem if he's a 3. That's a problem if Stroman's your 3 starter, and he's not. They didn't bring him.
He is the 3 right now. He's the 3 starter.
How is he the 3 starter? It's
Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, Nestor Cortez, Clark Schmidt.
How the hell?
Cortez coming off a bad year.
So Stroman
had a bad second half. Stroman is in line to be the number 3 starter.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just a guy that's pitching ahead of guys that we believe are better, but I think Cortez is the 3rd best pitcher in this rotation. I think Schmidt might be better than Stroman at this point.
Schmidt had a nice year last year. He's had a pretty solid career with the Yankees here, but I don't think I think you're being a little. I can't believe I'm defending Marcus Stroman right now. First of all, this is.
It's not a terrible sign. Stroman's not a terrible sign. It's not a terrible sign. It's not. I agree with that.
He's had. This has been Stroman's career, right? Blake Snell is practically just better Marcus Stroman. They've had a similar career path where they've been up and down, up and down. Stroman's had some real up and downs, but I mean, at one point, Marcus Stroman was in the NL Cy Young conversation last year.
He was
in like June, July. He was in the Cy Young conversation.
Yeah. How many guys are in the conversation in June?
Not a lot of guys.
One of them. Brent Rooker was, a big candidate at some point.
As a number 3, sure. For a World Series contending team, maybe it's not ideal.
That definitely is not ideal.
He's not, we're not talking about a trash player here.
You need Cortez to step up and be that 3.
Yes.
You need Schmidt.
You need
to be
Rodon.
That 4.
Rodon is the guy in the rotation that's the X factor.
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, we have a lot of time to debate Yankees and Mets and everything. We're very excited for baseball to start, and we'll have all that coming up. Right now, though, as I teased before, we had a fan submission, a video submission. We're going to take a listen right now. But listen, guys, send us videos, DM us, email us, text us if you have our number. Please, we want to do this more and more. So here is our first video submission.
What is up, Hardline Sports Talk? This is Dean from the Upper East Side. All I have to say is a Yankees lineup that has Soto, Judge, Pete Alonso in the 2-3-4 spot next year. It's going to be crazy. What do you guys think?
Thank you very much, Dean. Wow, Dean. I don't like the sound of that. I definitely don't like the sound of that, but I mean, JM, that's your team.
Yeah,
so
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't like the sound of it either. Alonso's a fantastic player. He would be a great cleanup hitter to have. I don't think it makes sense financially for the Yankees to do it because, first of all, they're going to have to get Soto, pay him record-breaking money. Now, obviously, they'll be looking for a first baseman next year if they don't bring back Rizzo. Rizzo's going to be coming off the books now. So, logistically, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me because let's remember, if you sign Soto, I'm going to assume that the Yankees have plans of Soto being kind of like what Stanton was, where they'll play him in the outfield a little bit, but Juan Soto isn't exactly an above-average defensive outfielder, right? He's not known for his defense. So I think they'll have a lot of plans for him to play some DH. They've got Jason Dominguez, who will be back full-time next year, barring any other injuries. And they have their number one prospect in Spencer Jones, who they seem to be in love with. So, I imagine an outfield of Jones, Judge, and Dominguez. So I'm not sure. That's where I think if they got Soto, that's where he would fit in that DH rotating in the outfield. Are they going to be then again now spending that money on Pete Alonso to be a full-time first baseman and not play any DH?
$500 million on Juan Soto to be a part-time outfielder? No way.
It's going to be like the Harper model. It'll be like the Bryce Harper model.
All right, yeah, in a couple of years, hopefully.
Merlo, he's a It's just like Yordan Alvarez.
Alvarez ain't getting $500 million.
Alvarez might get $500 million when he hits the open market. Have you seen the way the guy plays baseball?
Did he not sign an extension? Did he not sign one of those extensions?
I don't know.
He might have. That's why.
But if Yordan Alvarez hit the open market, he'd be knocking on the door. He's very young. He's incredibly talented.
He's forgotten. He's legitimately.
You know what? Now I want Pete Alonso.
Listen.
You could have Mark Vientos, man, in first base for the next 10 years.
Let me just say this, okay? Dean's not completely off if you subtract a player from the Yankees and put him on the Mets, and then maybe the Yankees are looking for a little retribution or they need another bat they're feeling. Then Pete fits, sure.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But no. I mean, Pete Alonso with Judge and Soto, that'll never happen.
Yeah. I don't see it happening. But Dean, love the question, bro.
Yes.
Like he said, would love for you guys to send these in. It's fun for our sake seeing who's going to send it in, and it helps us with a topic like that where we can maybe start arguing with each other. So,
and if we had more time for baseball, we definitely would argue with that more.
Yeah.
But we do have to move on here because there's a lot still to do. We have a little NFL we want to talk about. I'm very excited. I mean, the NFL, we know how great they are, whether it's marketing or just, making their events seem bigger than they are. And I mean, they have a literal, the Combine's almost like a Super Bowl event. Yeah. I mean, they have every media personality at the Combine. Yeah. All the teams are obviously there. It's a spectacle. Yeah. I mean, the Combine, which is so mind-numbingly boring to watch.
Yeah. It's just guys out there running drills.
Some people are like, oh, Combine Week. I love Combine Week. Loser. You are a loser if you like to watch the NFL Combine, okay?
Oh, come on.
Get a life. Get a life, okay?
Oh, man, get to Combine Week.
Yeah. No.
But
please.
The thing that saw, I used to probably be one of those losers. I think I had a nice Combine Week one time, but the thing is, the top guys don't even do it anymore. They get these guys wait for the pro day. So my biased coach in the stands could hit the freaking stopwatch 5 seconds early and show everybody my unofficial 40 time.
It's crazy, but whatever.
What are you running? What do you think you're running? 40-yard dash?
I don't know. I used to run a nice 40-yard dash.
I don't think I would come anywhere close to the 4s. Like no way. I would.
No, I mean
I would be in the mid. I'd be in the mid 5s. I think.
I'd probably be in the 6s. I've lost some speed. I used to have a nice little speed.
But bench, you're definitely putting up a good bench number.
Depends. I mean, I could put up 220. 225 is the number they use.
Yeah.
How many? I'm
in
not
your
doing
prime,
it for
what were you
much.
putting?
I could do 15. I could 10 to 15.
Okay, I think you could still do at least 8.
Maybe at 225. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm back in the gym, feeling good.
Nice.
So, but
guys just like naturally just like a freaking bolt.
We went to the gym once, and I hadn't gone in months.
Yeah.
And he was benching. And I was like, I guess I'll bench. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What did I say?
He's doing like less weight than me. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, it's been a while. And I'm like, dude, I guarantee you could do 225 right now. And he was like, I don't know. And then you just started crushing it. Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. Send me to the combine. You want me to do a combine? I'll do a combine.
Hardline combine.
I saw this. A couple of media companies did this. I'm like, this isn't. It's like watching fat people do it. Is it cool too? It's boring there too. Like,
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's my issue with the combine. But they have all these. Every single NFL media. If you were important in NFL media, you were at the combine this week.
Right.
I couldn't believe it.
Right.
But they had good guests and the GMs have spoken and whatnot. But I think the guy with the most. I don't want to say pressure, maybe pressure and attention on him is Ryan Poles. He has a decision now, which I think is an easy one, leaning towards drafting Caleb Williams.
It seems like it's going that way also from what I've heard with the media and from what Fields is going on podcasts now and saying some things that are,
his odds to go to Atlanta are minus 300 now. Looks like to be a Falcon.
And they that makes sense.
It does.
I mean, they should obviously make the move. Now, do you think they're going to get a first-round pick?
No, they're not. No. They're not going to get the. No. If it's the Falcons, they're not going to get the 8th.
Yeah,
pick.
They're not getting the 8th pick.
But that also tells you, Atlanta either does not like the price to move up. If there's an opportunity to move up, they don't like the price to move up, and they don't like any of the guys outside of the top 3. That's what this tells you. Now it's a short-term fix. I mean, I'm sure I'm blanking on where Fields is in his contract, but maybe
he's going into his 4th season right now.
And did they pick up the? They have to pick up the option now.
They would have to pick up the option now.
So they'll probably. I don't know what they'll do, but it's a short-term solution unless he works out.
I don't know how that works. I believe when let's say Justin Fields gets traded to Atlanta, Atlanta now has the option to pick up his 5th-year option. Unless he trades
him before, but if let's say it's not done yet.
Yeah.
Atlanta will tell them pick up the 5th-year option,
right.
And then
I think that happened with Sam Darnold with the Panthers. I remember that whole process of picking up the 5th-year option and everything.
They had declined it, correct?
Yeah,
they told the Jets to decline it. Mm-hmm. They declined it.
Now, I think whatever move happens with Fields here, it's not happening for a while. I think you got to wait for free agency to hit its peak here with. I think that maybe Atlanta probably has some plans to make an offer to a Kirk Cousins, or we'll see what happens with Russell Wilson.
Interesting.
There's some other dominoes that could fall from teams signing backup quarterbacks and or whatnot. So,
but you don't think they'd want to pick in this draft?
I think they would want to pick in this draft. I think by the time April comes, I'm saying between free agency and the draft, I think is when the trade will happen. Kind of like what we saw with Rodgers last year. I mean, it was like a week before the draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got that confused anyway. I was going to say you don't think they want to – Chicago would want to do it so they have a pick in this draft. But the pick that they get from Atlanta is in this draft.
Yeah. They will want that, yeah.
Yeah, they'll have that. They'll get that. Yeah. But – all right. I actually want to ask you this. This is where I want to go. I forgot where I wanted to go now. You know Merrill Hodge?
I do know Merrill Hodge.
And he was on ESPN. I liked him on ESPN. He was fine on ESPN. And he's famous for saying that, Johnny Manziel is not a draftable quarterback. Right. And obviously he ended up being correct about that. Right. And now whenever Merrill Hodge makes has a take on one of the quarterbacks coming out of the draft, it's magnified and people take his opinion and they value it very highly.
Right.
Meanwhile, he's been wrong on so many other players, but still we value his opinion. And he's had some opinions on quarterbacks in this draft, and he doesn't think Caleb Williams is as special as people think, and he doesn't think Drake May is a first-round pick. What do you think of that?
I think Merrill Hodge is now starting to get his recognition, and it's happening at the right time because let him have his flowers now, and it's all going to come crashing down after these opinions that he's throwing out there. I mean, Drake May, not a first-round pick. I think I'm. So, like I said, I'm going to do these quarterback draft profiles and break down their film and everything and post them on the Hardline. I'm going to have one for each quarterback. And I'm already getting the feeling that Drake May is going to be like the love of my life. I think that he is going, like, from what I've seen on tape already, it's very impressive. Caleb Williams, I mean, to be there and saying, oh, he's not that special. Listen, you had your shot with Johnny Manziel. He got it right. And I respect the guy, right? And he's probably knows more than I do. But Johnny Manziel was kind of one of those stories where, okay, first of all, you looked at him physically. He was an undersized quarterback. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of things that we already knew about off the field that weren't good.
Yes.
And, you know, he had some predictable traits, and he ended up being the 22nd overall pick in the NFL draft, right? Johnny Manziel's name was bigger than the talent. Caleb Williams is known. He hasn't won a national championship. He hasn't been in any huge games against an Alabama where they won, like, nothing crazy. Johnny Manziel upset Alabama when they were the number one overall team in the country.
Great game.
Caleb Williams is known for just being an amazing quarterback. That's why he's so well known. So, yeah, I think he's a little out of his mind right now.
You know what's funny? And my boy, who you don't like, and I do, Colin Cowherd actually brought this up.
I said I complimented Colin Cowherd.
Compliment him.
He's growing on me.
So he had mentioned this when he was going back at Hodge about it. Merrill Hodge, he had him on the show, and this is where I saw Merrill Hodge's take on May and Williams and whatnot. And he had mentioned that look at the players Caleb Williams has played with the last 2 years. The only guy that's like noticeable and good is Jordan Addison, who was on the team last season before obviously this one when he was drafted in the first round. He's played with not great players. He's lifted that entire offense, and how many points a game are they scoring? They don't play defense, and he has to score.
I mean, the guy's
points.
playing hero ball out there, just about every time.
So, anybody that says they don't like Caleb Williams, it's just like, oh, you're trying to be different. Yeah. Like you're just trying to have that different opinion. Yeah. This is the number one overall pick. This is the best player in the draft.
Exactly, and you know he didn't have the year that everybody wanted him to have last year, but that's the team. I think was terrible.
Terrible
right?
team.
Yeah, I mean it just wasn't as great as we thought it was going to be. So, you know, let's remember this is college. This isn't the NFL. Let's not just look into it. The team performance does not matter to me when looking at a quarterback prospect. Right. I mean, you know, Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He played at Wyoming his whole career. So there's plenty of quarterbacks who have gone out and been like an AJ McCarron, who's a national champion and is now on the Birmingham Barons or wherever he is. Like let's not care too much about how the team did and care more about the raw abilities and the characteristics and the intelligence and everything we look for in a quarterback prospect.
So I'm under the impression that a lot of teams are going to try and trade up. Okay. Yeah. And I think to 3 specifically, where New England's not in a position where, you know, they have so much to rebuild. If they're not in love with one of these quarterbacks, they're probably going to trade out. Then they could trade out and get a haul back and continue or I would say start the rebuild with Gerard Mayo. I think a lot of teams are going to come calling, and I think a lot of teams are going to offer the future to go up to 3. And I think, I mean, I obviously have a team on the top of my head. I don't know if you have a team that you think is going to try and trade everything. There's a couple I'm thinking of.
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is one of them. There's 2 main teams.
Atlanta.
I think Minnesota and the Giants. I think the Giants are doing everything they can to get into that top 3 because Daboll and Shane are not going to go down because they started Daniel Jones for another season.
Right.
The Vikings, I mean, they're probably looking to move off of Kirk Cousins.
Right.
I think, or not, you know, it just doesn't make financial sense at the moment.
Right.
They're going to look to get their quarterback of the future.
Yeah.
I think these teams are going to be willing to offer anything.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. The Vikings make a ton of sense. You're right. It doesn't make financial sense. They're talking about $50 million maybe for Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson is going to be looking for a lucrative extension soon. There's already rumblings about, are they going to entertain a Justin Jefferson trade? Now, Minnesota's GM came out and said that that's not true. They haven't even entertained the thought of it.
I don't really care about what he says.
That's smart on his sake to publicly say that. I think it would be a damn shame and it would be stupid of them to trade Justin Jefferson. I think you keep him and he'd be a luxury to have for any young quarterback who comes in the building. If one's got to go, it's Kirk Cousins, right?
Crazy though, right? That we're sitting here saying the quarterback's got to go.
But that's just the way it works in the NFL when you talk about age. And if we're just talking logically and looking at the way this football team and the state that they're in right now,
it does make sense.
It makes way more sense to let go of Kirk versus a Justin Jefferson. Kirk, what you would be doing is you'd be spending that money, you'd be up against the cap with a mediocre roster around him, and you'd just be wasting the last couple years of his prime that he's got left. He's also coming off an Achilles injury. Now, Kirk isn't a quarterback who exactly relies on his legs to make his money, but at that age, we don't know what's going to happen, right? Coming off a big injury like that. They would. I mean, they're. What are they? Where are they sitting in the teens right now?
Like
in the
14,
middle.
They
yeah. So to make that jump to 3, you're talking about
next year's first
and
second.
the next year's first. Think about what the Niners had to give up to get Trey Lance. They jumped from 11 to 3 or something like that.
Daniel Jeremiah. I don't know what kind of system he has or like what kind of program he uses.
Right, with the points or
right. So
whatever.
he had said for the Giants, and again, it's a different 6-3 from 14-3.
Yeah.
6-3 would be obviously the swap of the firsts. The Giants have 2 second-round picks this year, so 2 second-round picks, and then next year's second-round pick. Yeah. So not really dealing with future first. It's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot.
I would do it, by the way.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, that's the kind of price.
I think what's going to be really interesting about this draft class, where these don't come every year, where we have 6 quarterbacks that have first round grades or are projected to go in the first round.
That could probably go in the first.
Yeah, I honestly think 6 might go.
You think Penix is going to be taken in the first round?
Oh yes, 100%. I think
really?
Penix would be a first round pick. Now the thing that's interesting is one team most likely is going to fall in love with at least one of the 4 quarterbacks or 5 are going to have teams that are in love with them, must snatch them up in the first round. Somebody's going to love a Jaden Daniels, and they're going to take him at 3. Somebody's going to love a J.J. McCarthy. I right now would be shocked if he is not a top 10 pick.
He's going to be top 10
I think J.J. McCarthy is locked in as a top 10 pick.
100%.
I think a team is going to be in love with him, whether it's your New York Giants, whether it's anybody else. Somebody's going to love him, and somebody's going to make a move to come trade up. That's why I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Kirk, to see what happens with a Russell Wilson. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that's where Russell Wilson makes a lot of sense to go right now. If he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, are you really, after that fan base getting pissed off with all the mediocreness and the way the quarterback position has just been dreadful since the last 3 Big Ben years? Are you really going to try out a Kenny Pickett or a Mason Rudolph next year? They're really going to do it?
They're a very old school, loyal franchise. Yep. I mean, how many coaches have they had? I mean, that's a good thing. It's stability, but it's also could be an annoyance where you're trotting out a quarterback that just stinks. Yeah, you're 100% right. That makes a lot of sense because, they do have the defense still. They have some weapons over there and some immature guys too, where Russell could come in and be that leader and kind of settle everybody down and calm everybody down. And him and Tomlin, I think, would work great. I mean, him and Carroll worked for the most part for all those years, and they had some success. I think Tomlin, a similar guy, defensive coach, that would make a lot of sense.
They seem to me to be an organization that would be stubborn to trade up in the draft to go get a quarterback, though, to give up that future draft capital, especially the position they're in,
the Steelers
in the early 20s to move up into the top 10. I think that, they're not going to do it. If they lose out on a Russell Wilson, I think then now you're talking a Jacoby Brissett possibility or maybe a Sam Howell, right? Like one of those Commanders quarterbacks.
They should call Kirk. I mean, they should.
Yeah, they should.
Do is call Kirk.
Should. Yeah, they should.
That would be a good. That's not been floated around. I don't know what their cap situation's like, but that would be the move I would make.
And Las Vegas, man. If I'm Antonio Pierce, okay, cool. You got the job. I am kicking and screaming right now to say, I give GM, go out and get a quarterback, a free agency this year. Go out and trade up and let's draft a quarterback because I'm going to go out there with Aiden O'Connell next year as a rookie head coach. No, and you have guys like Max Crosby and Devontae Adams who they're not going to be here forever. I mean.
No, Russ makes sense there too, but Jam, we're in such a weird time in the AFC, and listen, it didn't go as we thought last year, but I mean, look at the conference. I mean, you're going to have Rodgers coming back from injury, Burrow coming back from injury. You have Herbert now paired with one of the, in my opinion, 6 best coaches in the league, and Jim Harbaugh now.
That's high praise. Holy crap!
The Ravens are still going to be there. You know, how many?
Yeah, the Browns are coming back with Deshaun Watson's coming back now. You know, they had a good season, made the playoffs.
The Texans are here. Yep. Richardson's going to be healthy. So, in an AFC that's just so loaded in other years, and if they were in the NFC, go get that veteran quarterback with your guys and go try and compete. Yeah. Not in this AFC, because no matter who you get, unless you're getting one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, which I don't think you are, you're going to have a tough time, especially in your division.
Right.
It's tough. Not easy. No. And Antonio Pierce's an idiot, too. So, I mean, he's got to stop running his mouth.
He's got the blueprint.
He's got the blueprint.
He's got the blueprint.
Don't worry. Two defensive touchdowns. Okay, dude.
Yeah.
Good luck. Giants and Saquon. I think it's done. I think it's over.
Yeah.
I think it's finally done.
I mean, it's a relationship that had. I mean, I feel like how many offseasons ever since we've started this show, basically every offseason we've been talking about the future of the Giants and Saquon, right?
Done.
You know, it's
goodbye.
Yeah, it's done. Okay. See, why do you say that?
Go.
Why do you say that?
You know why, JM? Because
he's been a great Giant.
Oh, he's been a great Giant.
He said
great
nothing
Giant.
bad about. He's been a great face of your franchise.
Great face of the franchise that has had the worst era of play in their organizational history.
Is that his fault, though? Like, it's not his fault.
He's the face of it. He's the face of it.
Stop.
He's the face of it.
He's been the only guy that's been something to watch.
Yeah, but he's also been the leader.
Sundays where you have to watch your Daniel Jones, who still gets every excuse in the book. The guy's been in the league for 6 years, and there's still people, no O-line. Oh, no receivers. Oh, well, he got hurt. Oh, did you see how he played against the Commanders in that comeback 4 years ago? No, enough. Saquon Barkley, he's had his injuries. When he's been on the field, the Giants have milked everything they could get out of the guy. He's been the only entertaining thing on that offense to watch over the 6-7 years that you're talking about that's been dreadful.
When he plays.
I don't want to hear it with them. I don't want to hear any bitching about him, all right? He's been a good Giant. He's sold jerseys. He's made people come in the stands. He's a local guy. He was a Penn State guy.
He's a Jet fan.
He's okay. Who cares if he's a Jet fan?
His dad's a Jet fan. No,
okay.
To me, he's not a local guy.
Great.
Listen,
you're being ridiculous.
You know, from the second he was drafted, I was not happy.
Yeah, that's their fault for going one more run with Eli. That's their fault for picking him second overall in that quarterback class, which ended up not really working out. But, you know, if Sam Darnold or, I'm not going to say Josh Rosen, but if Josh Allen ended up in New York Giants uniform,
Pat
who knows
Shermer
what happened.
Got a lot out of Daniel that year.
Yeah.
Listen, I do respect Saquon for what he did, and he's been a good Giant, but I've had enough of this era of Giants football, and if I could, aside from literally 2 players, Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas, I would get rid of absolutely everybody that's been on the team for the last 4 years and start over completely.
Kayvon?
Keep Kayvon.
Maybe if he goes on one more podcast, get rid of him.
You know, man, please. He's another one.
Yeah.
But replaceable. Solid player.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Saquon, yes, replaceable. You're not talking about Kayvon Thibodeau.
I'm talking about Kayvon.
You're talking about Kayvon Thibodeau as replaceable.
Kayvon Thibodeau's replaceable. I mean, I like Kayvon. I think he's going to be a good player.
I think it's tough to call an above-average edge rusher replaceable.
And I think
that's easier said than done.
I also think the new defensive system without Wink Martindale, he's going to have a lot of chances to succeed more. Because his defense, Wink Martindale, is not made for defensive edge rushers and pass rushers in general.
Well, one shoe drops, then you know what's going to happen with the Dexter Lawrence. Maybe Dexter Lawrence has a little less opportunity now, and once the edge rushers opportunities opens up.
Listen, if Lawrence is still a dominant player, he's just his
it's like
numbers aren't there.
Quinnen didn't get a lot of sack numbers this year, but
Kayvon,
he was very impactful.
Kayvon's, sure, I'm down for that. Get it. Let everybody eat, man. Yeah. Come on, let's go. Anyway, all right, enough of the Giants. Jesus Christ, I can't. I'm actually so turned off by this team, it hurts.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Mets are doing anything for me this year anyway. It's just like I'm lost.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Before we go, Mecole Hardman, man. What a piece of crap.
He's a piece of crap.
Jesus. So, you know, obviously we know he wanted out. He goes on a podcast a couple of nights ago. He's saying, I had called Veach and Mahomes, like, get me out. Free me, bro. Free me. They ended up trading for him. They traded for him,
begging.
Right? They traded for him. He was released.
He was released. Or no, they traded for like a 6th-round pick or 7th-round pick.
He was traded for, and there's a lot of drama. Morstead came out today with a great tweet. Yeah. Thomas Morstead, something about, don't don't have
disgruntled ex-employees and this and that.
He said, Listen, Gibson beat him for the job.
No disrespect. Can I take the floor on this one, please?
Please do.
The balls on Mecole Hardman to come out and do all this. First of all, he came out and he was like, man, I saw this and I was like, this is not what winning is like. Okay, well, first of all, you've been to 4 AFC championship games in a row. That's not because of you, okay? It's because of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, okay? You were brought in as a special teams guy that they started giving some jet sweep packages, and yeah, you got some nice catches. Ooh, you had a couple 500-yard receiving seasons. That's all you did, okay? Then you become a free agent. The team that loves you, that you begged to bring back, that you had all the success with, couldn't give you a 1-year, $4 million contract. $4 million over a 1-year commitment they could not give him. So he goes to the Jets, right? Gets beat out by an undrafted free agent wide receiver rookie in Xavier Gibson, and has all these complaints about not being involved in the offense enough. And we had those questions. We were like, why is Mecole Hardman not being included enough? And sure, maybe Nathaniel Hackett isn't great at his job. Maybe that's on him. Maybe another offensive coordinator would have found a better role for you and you'd still be a Jet. I don't know. But to go back to Kansas City and whine and bitch to be a Chief again, and then you have a nice play in the Super Bowl, you win the Super Bowl you catch the game-winning touchdown. Wow, that's great. To be sitting on a podcast and just start talking shit and leaning back with your Super Bowl rings on your fingers like you're prime Randy Moss or something is absolutely ridiculous. Like, know your role, like your teammate Travis Kelce said, know your role and stay in your lane, you jabroni. Like, take notes, bro. You're nothing. You've been a special team your whole career. You've been a guy who comes in on 4 receiver sets and catches maybe 2 catches for 30 yards every week. Woo, whoop-de-frickin-do. Congratulations. Here's your flowers. It's like, who is he to come on a podcast and just start ripping apart an organization and be like, man, I don't think they want to win over there. Yeah, you know so much about winning, Mecole. You're a real savant. Thank you.
Yeah, not good for Mecole. And then you got these rumors now that apparently he had given the offensive game plan to the Eagles when the Jets played the Eagles.
Oh yeah,
this
thank
year.
you. I forgot about that too.
I mean, listen, the Jets won the game.
If that's true, he should be suspended from football. Well, that's actually insane.
He might have a problem getting a job.
That's
after
like
that.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Insanity.
That's a big deal. I mean, listen, why are we sharing Nathaniel Hackett's game plan? They don't really need the help. And, I mean, low-scoring game. He didn't do much of the Eagles.
The Eagles probably looked at it. They were like, we don't need this shit, bro. We
knew this was happening, right? But you're 100% right. Like, he should get in trouble for that. If that is true, if they can prove that, and a lot of players feel very strongly that he did do that, I mean, Jesus Christ.
Insane.
But also, JM, then, and I understand, you paid the guy whatever. I mean, it wasn't much, but you paid him, and he was part of the salary cap here. But if he's causing issues here, like, why not just cut him?
They amend the relationship. I mean, it would be an impulse decision. I don't know. I mean, you try to. The Jets have a reputation of not being a very competent organization, to put it lightly. So probably that to say, okay, this guy had all this success in Kansas City. For him to come into our building and us release him immediately would be a bad look for us.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, I mean, if the guy's a spy and he's giving away your game plan to his former team, to the Chiefs, to the Eagles,
Problem. Yeah. Well, at least it's not your problem anymore. And the Jets obviously have some work to do. They need to rebuild an entire offensive line. They need 3 starting offensive linemen, which
need to rebuild an organization. Maybe learn how to hire people.
Start with the offensive line.
Yeah, we'll go from there. Let's not get greedy here.
Start with the offensive line and whatever else you need going into this season for Aaron to try and make a run to the Super Bowl here. But yeah, we're getting close to draft. Obviously, JM will have some draft analysis, and I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this draft.
I am pumped. It's going to be a good draft.
I hope my team Jay's up and gets a quarterback because enough's enough.
It's actually funny because I think over the years we've both realized, like, okay, our teams need a quarterback in this draft. They're most likely going to draft a quarterback. Your team, I think the Giants are not 100% set in stone to take a quarterback. It's very up in the air if they...
Because they need to trade up.
And they If they don't draft a quarterback, it's not like oh, well, who the hell's our quarterback going to be this year? You have a quarterback on a 4-year, $160 million deal, which you can get out of.
You can get out of it.
You can get out of it.
They did structure it in a way to get out of it after next year.
You can get out of it after next year.
But either way, if Jones is healthy, he'd probably be the starter anyway, depending on who you draft.
But this could end up as a draft where neither of our teams take a quarterback, or both of our teams take a quarterback. I think it's an outside chance, but the Jets they're one of the 8 teams who are talking to Caleb Williams at the combine. It's not an impossibility for them to maybe take a Michael Penix to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think if Penix in the second round, they don't have the second round pick.
They do not have the second round pick. No.
Tough. I went to Aaron.
Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't get one for Mecole Hardman. Such a great player.
Yeah,
it should have got first round. I mean,
all right. I think it's gonna do it. Lots got done today, and we ran along with everything. Of course, look out obviously on our social medias all week and weekend long, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep.
Peace.